Darshamiti namine Panchakalpataruvesya kipa sindhavaiva chavatitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritam Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayasya Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtakim Mukham Karati Vachalam Pangulangayate Girim Jat Kripa Tamaham Bande Sri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, Prabhus and Mothers. So we are going to continue our Bhagavad Gita recitation. So last week we have completed up to 33, sixth chapter. This chapter is titled as Abhas Yoga. That's including also Hare Krishna. We are also Bhakti Yogi. Hare Krishna Mother Puja. Nice to see you. Text 33. I think we accomplished that. So we'll begin from text 34. So what we discussed, just to refresh, Arjuna have asked so far 7th question, but total question he asked 16 in entire Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita constitutes of 700 verses, and we know that Dhritarashtra asked the first question. Bhagavad Gita began with questions. That's why it's important that we should question in our spiritual life, because when you create questions, questions indicates where you are and what level of consciousness you are in and where you're heading. Now, if you don't have a question, that means you are not very thoughtful. Because the whole Bhagavad Gita, actually, at the end, we will come to this conclusion that Krishna's core call is not actually to fight. It's interesting because in the beginning, it may look like Krishna is trying to convince Arjuna to fight. Arjuna didn't want to fight. But actually, you will come to, in a few chapters later, you will see in 11th chapter, where Krishna's core, the essential principle of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is not actually forcing or convincing Arjuna to fight, but to become an instrument for the divine. Now, how it is relevant to us? This is what Krishna wants. Each of us to become an instrument for the divine, and which requires freedom from animosity. Animosity not necessarily against another person, against your own existence. I don't like why I'm not advanced. Why I don't have this. You may not complain to anyone, you may not hate anyone, but you may hate your own existence. It is with many devotees even. Sometimes they go through trouble, mind. Oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I can't do it, what's going on? We have to understand that through Bhagavad Gita, we have to learn how to be responsible for our own action and reaction. Whatever is happening in our life, it is product of our own decision. Some life we wanted this is what happening now. It is not accidental. It is not arranged by Krishna. It is not Maya who is creating this. It is us initiated that. This is what we wanted originally. Yes, Krishna sanctioned it. Maya produced it, you can say. But it is what we wanted. So if whatever is happening, if we are disappointed, guess blaming why it is wrong. Because blaming to someone who sanctioned it means we have a resentment against Krishna who sanctioned it. And this is the biggest delay in our spiritual path, in the progression. Why progression taking longer time? Because we have a resentment. Sometimes we don't go along with the devotees, sometimes we don't go along with the world or the nature, too cold, too hot, just not happy. I'm not saying artificially we have to be happy, but at least we have to be responsible that whatever is happening, can we accept that? This is the whole purpose of this chapter. And 11th chapter, it will show that Kala Rupa, the time, the form of time in its destructive manifestation. Not only did this form depict how almost everyone on the battlefield will be destroyed, but it is also called upon Arjuna to assist in that war. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came to this world to distribute Krishna consciousness, and guess what? If each of us helping, whatever capacity we are helping, we are actually aligned with Mahaprabhu's view. Then we can claim we are devotee. This is what Krishna wants. Krishna wants to distribute Krishna consciousness everywhere. If I am not distributing myself, Prabhupada said, before you help others, first thing we should remember, help ourselves. This is the mistake Jarabharat did. I hope you all are familiar with Jarabharat's story. Because he was so helpful, he was over compassionate to a deer that he neglected his own spiritual. As a result, he had to suffer 3 more lives. I'm not challenging, but ask yourself, how do you know last life you are not devotee? I ask myself like this. How do I know? Maybe last life I was a devotee, I did mistake. So then I have to struggle again, come back. And how do you know that this life I'm not negligence again? I'll come again. So Prabhupada made it very clear that merciful to yourself means do good sadhana every day. When you have a good sadhana, you have an inner connection. You heard me saying this many times, and I'm going to say this 1,000,000 times, because this is the fact. Those who have a good sadhana in the morning, chanting, hearing Srila Prabhupada's lecture, Bhagavatam, you have some service, practical service, whatever service you're doing, every day you have to serve. Whether printing books or publishing books or distributing books, whatever service, whoever has it, whatever capacity, but must do. 5 things you must do. Sadhana, seva, and good association, because bad association can pull you down. This is very important. Of course, our worst association is our own mind. And only way you can control the mind if you follow the principle of Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that they, the devotional principle. Also, you can look at your realization, and you should ask, like, am I progressing? How am I progressing? How is the proof that I'm progressing? This should be inquiry. So this is how Bhagavad Gita began, and we should also follow the same principle, because end of Bhagavad Gita, if you really look at very deeply, Dhritarashtra was not happy. Wow, he heard Bhagavad Gita, the whole Bhagavad Gita, from a pure devotee. Sanjaya is a pure devotee, disciple of Vyasdev. But Sanjaya was crying, he was emotional. End of this Bhagavad Gita, we'll see that he said, I can hear it again and again, I feel ecstasy. How come he got Krishna Prem? By hearing Bhagavad Gita. And Dhritarashtra, he also heard Bhagavad Gita, same time. Nothing changed. Something to look. What proportion of Dhritarashtra mentality within me and what proportion of Sanjay mentality within me. It is not the place, situation, or facility. It is our own consciousness. Where we are heading, how we are developing our attitude. These things are very important. And if we don't focus on it, then we may not be checking our progress. It's necessary. So let's begin. So my point was in the beginning that Krishna's core call is not to fight, but to become an instrument for the divine, which requires freedom from animosity, the cause of most fighting in the world, whether your own health or something else, but that's the main thing. Would somebody like to read the text 34, chapter 6? We are beginning from there. We finished 33.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Oh, Param Purna Prabhu. Nice to hear you.
Nice to hear you, Prabhu. Can I read? Is it okay?
Of course.
634.
The famous verse,
yes.
At least to me. I can relate.
Sanchalam he mana Krishna pramati balavadridam tasyaham nikraham manne varivashi dushkaram. The mind, translation, the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong. Oh Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind. Purport. The mind is so strong and obstinate that it sometimes overcomes the intelligence, although the mind is supposed to be subservient to the intelligence. For a man in the practical world who has to fight so many opposing elements, it is certainly very difficult to control the mind. Artificially, one may establish a mental equilibrium toward both friend and enemy, but ultimately, no worldly man can do so, for this is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. In the Vedic literature, Katha Upanishad, it is said, Atma. Okay? The individual is a passenger in the car of the material body, and the intelligence is the driver. Mind is a driving instrument, and the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer or sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinkers, intelligence is supposed to direct the mind, but the mind is so strong and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence. As an acute infection may surpass the efficacy of medicines. So the strong mind is supposed to be controlled by the practice of yoga, but such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. And what can we say of modern man? The simile used here is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind, and it is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. The easiest way to control the mind as suggested by Lord Chaitanya is chanting Hare Krishna, the great mantra for deliverance in all humility. The method prescribed is as Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo. One must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then will there remain no other engagements to agitate the mind.
Very nice. Thank you. That was very nice.
Thank you, Prabhu.
This verse, almost like every week, some or other pops in my mind because my mind is like that. It's interesting here how Arjuna gives a graphic reason which tell his concern, why he is saying mind is restless, and so that I cannot practice. Maybe none of you ever heard it, but I myself felt like this. Mind was so disturbed. Nowadays, of course, we learn little techniques, so mind gets subdued, but it is very important. First word, it says chanchalam. Chanchalam means mind is restless. Then what kind of restless? He's giving 4 kinds of serious describer. You can look at it. I'm going to point out, because I was meditating on this verse early morning today, that 4 kinds of serious describer. First, he says chanchala, restless. Next he says pramati. Pramati means wild, agitating. You know, wild, agitating. I don't know if you ever got chased by cobra. I did. I was so scared. I almost at deathbed in Mayapur by cobra. But Krishna protected me by his compassion, mercy. Then Arjuna says balabad. If you look at that word, is also there. Is strong. Then he says dviram, means it's obstinate. So Arjuna, in that sloka, he gives that mind is restless. But how is restless? Because these 4 component made the mind. So let us understand this. To understand this distinctive implication. Chanchalam. Chanchalam is like a child. I recently saw a child in someone's house. I won't say the name because they're nice people. So child is restless. If mother will say, child, sit down here, I'll do some work, will the child sit down quietly? It happened. I'm being honest to you. Let me see what this boy do. Or he saw a toy, he ran over there. His mother said, sit down, he ran over the toys. And after a few minutes, he running with the toys and making some noise like he's in the war with the Batman, you know, the toy of Batman. So he's going here, there, often restless, leads to mischief. And fun for the mother and father, what my child is doing right now. Mischief, this is restlessness, can also lead to occasional danger, like child is sitting on a bed, falls off from the bed, and then he cries. That's also happened. So there may be little danger. Mind is restless. Do one thing, by the time you're chanting, your mind is going, what else happened yesterday? Why didn't I forget? Oh, I forgot this. And then you realize you're thinking something else while body is chanting. Childish, naive, curiosity alone. Arjuna uses the first word, is the mind just like an innocent child. Is this childish, naive curiosity alone? No. Child and childish are two different things. It is not like that it is one feature of the mind, but what makes the mind dangerous is that it is not just like a child in curiosity. It is also like a bull in strength. See how Arjuna, the way he phrased it, chanchala, then he writes pramati balabadhiram. Second describer is mad. Pramati means mad. Pramati and unmat is used in various places in Bhagavatam. Mada also means intoxicated. Mad. In India, mad means liquor, wine. So pramati is maddened over here. So it is agitated to point of being mad. When we talk about madness, there are different level of madness. There are some people who are having some problem in brain, because of which they are sent to mental hospital. They are completely disconnected from reality. They may say that I am president of India, like Vietnam Bat in San Diego used to go food distribution. And this man really, like, he's ordering. He said, I am a president of America. I'm ordering to this. That's like crazy. He's a completely schizophrenic. So other may say, I'm president of India or America, like sort of, like madness. These are called madness. People get disconnected from reality. That's why it's called mad. They live in an illusory world. Now, in that illusory world, what thought will come to their mind? How they will act that nobody knows. So sometimes some mad people are dangerous. Mad people can get any idea and act in any way. A child is not mad. Child is just innocent. But here it is said by Arjuna, if you look at the word, he's also mad. It's not just a child, it is pramati, it is mad. So we can see that we also go mad sometimes. For example, a person may get obsessed by anger. That's also happened. I saw someone, maybe it was also within me. The person starts speaking such crazy thing. So anger is like temporary madness, temporary insanity when it covers over us. We do such thing, speak such thing, we cannot conceive of doing such thing at other times. So what makes us do it? It is just madness. That's why Arjuna used the word pramati. Mind is mad, so it is restless in a dangerous sense. Now, two of the three persons are required to control even an ordinary mad person. So when he comes in his madness, but imagine if the mad person is a big bully, maybe a boxing champion with a huge muscle. And if that person goes mad, it is very, very difficult to control that person. So the mind, Arjuna used here balabad, extremely powerful. So in fact, 11th canto Bhagavatam, I read Abunti Brahmana prayers. There is a reference verse which says, mind is God-like power. It is very significant uses because Krishna did say, among senses I am the mind. So when mind takes control of us, it almost becomes omnipotent. Maybe none of you felt, but some people think nobody can tell me anything. I am not servant of anyone. I am on my own. I am the boss of my own. They feel like this. Some life probably we did also. Before I became devotee, I'm sure I did. So it is ferocious. It is also irresistible. Now, Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, Sri Krishna will speak, Indriyanam Manaschasmi I remember that verse. Among the senses, I'm the mind. So the mind represents supreme power of Sri Krishna. For all practical purpose, we can say Maya is equivalent to the mind. Maya takes us away from Sri Krishna. More than external, it is internal, in mind. So ontologically, which means in terms of existence, in terms of nature of reality, there is a Maya Devi separately, and she manifests in different ways. She's quite different from mind. But for all practical purposes, mind is Maya. It acts irrationally. I would say self-destructively, suicidal. Now Arjuna used another word, balabhat. Within material world, Maya is omnipresent, omnipotent, just like God. Now you may say, how is that? Maya knows our weakness. Krishna has given us free will, has given arena to work with our free will. This material world, so we can choose to either serve Krishna or Maya. Like in a jail, there is a vigilance system by which jail knows where the prisoner, what they are doing. So like that, within the material world, which is like a jail, Maya has the vigilance and may know everything. She has been given that power by Sri Krishna because she knows everything. She can extremely dangerous for us. In the sense that Maya can act through our mind and trap us. Please remember that. Maya's purpose is not to trap us, but to promote us. But the way it is done is through testing. Please remember that. Through testing. So Balabhat, a powerful person can also act in a sensible way. But here, Arjuna says the mind is obstinate. Proper translate is obstinate. Dhriram, the word dhriram. This word came earlier also in Bhagavad Gita. It can be used in a positive sense, determination. But in this context, it means obstinacy. Determination is something which is good, noble, laudable. A person receives failure in doing something, but still keep trying, doing some positive thing. That is determination. But obstinacy means when something is undesirable and a person should give that up, when get lots of lessons from different places, indicators, warning that one should give this up. But one does not give up. That is called obstinacy. So we say that Ravana's obstinacy is not to give up Mother Sita. Ravana got so many warnings, so many cautions. First of all he knew he did not have any protection from Manavas or his entourage because they failed. He had already heard about the power of Lord Ram. If you look at it, recently we had Ramayana, from various sources. So obstinacy is one keep going on wrong path despite so many warning, demonstration, etc. I saw one time one person was like criticizing another devotee, and he was going on and on. So many advice came from president, from different devotee, from scriptures, but he keeps on going. And you wonder, like, how is this? But this is what Arjuna is speaking. Which means when the mind gets attached to some idea, I want this enjoyment, then the mind just does not listen to anything else. No, I want this. Come what may, I don't care. The mind gets hooked to a particular idea. That is called obstinate. So actually this combination of four things, I hope you all catching up. Restlessness, madness.
That's 5:30.
Hare Krishna. Some noise coming. Let's see. Okay. So actually this combination of four things, I hope everybody keeping track on that verse. So first was, what do we discuss? Four things: restlessness, chanchala, then madness, then power, then obstinacy. These four things together makes the mind extremely dangerous. Now you may say, okay, I don't want to live with that person who has these four dangerous things. But guess what? You are with that person. That is what mind is. That's why it's difficult. So Arjuna is telling Krishna that all these four are there. Thus dealing with the mind is impossible, Krishna. So we have our worst enemy right inside me, inside us. So Arjuna's wonderful proposition to Krishna, mind is like a wind which blow off. It is interesting to see Sri Krishna has used the metaphor to use wind in 6.19. I think a couple of weeks back we did. Jatha Deepo Nivhaso Tahu. And Krishna says, as lamp kept in a windless stage does not flicker. Similarly, mind of the Hare Krishna devotee is fixed on the self. Now, when I say on the self means, if you want to know about yourself, guess first thing what you should search. You are part of who? 15.7, Krishna says you are part of me. So more we understand Krishna, more we understand us. Because in nature, we have a similar. Three things are prominent: our nature, our eternal position, and function. This thing will never change. Same thing with Krishna. That's how it is originally Krishna built or made. Not that we are made, we are eternal like Krishna, but still we have to say that way. So Krishna says in that verse, he said, when mind is free from material desire, it becomes peaceful. So here Arjuna is telling what to talk about. No wind there is much, it's such a wind that it is irresistible. Mind is like this. So compare a windless place with tornado, hurricane, cyclone. The wind is so forceful that nothing can be done to check it. So Arjuna has said, I have a weapons which can stop the storms, but none of this is effective on mind. Mind is impossible to control. Now here Arjuna is expressing, because the whole process of this Krishna consciousness beginning is centered around to control the mind. If you talk to devotees, we talk about what happened in Golok Vrindavan, but not so much. But we do talk about controlling mind, how disturbed, busy life, problem, this, that. We all talk about this more than what's going on in spiritual world. Why? Because that's the reality here. So here Arjuna is expressing, because that's what the process is. And Param Purna Prabhu read this verse very nicely. Prabhupada quote this. If you look at the purport, Prabhupada quote this verse, very nice verse. I remember many years back, maybe decade back, I draw a little drawing on that. I have to find it where it is. But this verse, I memorized this because this is what our body is. If you want to know your body, you can picture your body with this verse. So verse says, Atmanam, Atmanam Ratinam Biddhi. Shariram Ratham Evacha. Buddhim tu Sartim Biddhi. You can literally use this every day in your life. Like, oh my God, I'm sitting in a passenger seat. Who is driver? Is driver a drunkard or he's a normal? Or well, you really focus on this. Prabhupada translate the individual soul, each of you in your body. Guess where you are? You are in a passenger seat. You know, passenger seat. You're not driver. You're not controlling this body. You think you're controlling this body. That's another illusion. But let's get to this, that soul is the passenger in the car of material body. Who is driver? Intelligent. Mind is the driving instrument. And the senses are the horses. The self is thus the enjoyer and sufferer in the association of the mind and senses. So it is understood by great thinker that intelligence is supposed to direct the mind. I hope you all will remember this. You heard this many times, still we need to talk and remember this. Intelligence is supposed to direct the mind. But the mind is so strong, we found 4 things, and obstinate that it often overcomes even one's own intelligence. As on acute infection, many surpass the efficacy of medicine. Such a strong mind is supposed to be controlled by your sadhana, daily sadhana, by your reflection, by your contemplation, by your application. But such practice is never practical for a worldly person like Arjuna. Arjuna is claiming worldly person. So what can we say about modern man? That's a nice way Prabhupada put it. The simile used there is appropriate. One cannot capture the blowing wind. Try. Next time you have a hurricane or something, go try to catch the wind. It is even more difficult to capture the turbulent mind. This is Arjuna's point. So easiest way to control the mind, as suggested by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And Prabhus and mothers, it works. I'm not a genius. I'm not a good devotee yet. I'm desperately trying to become a servant of the devotee. But even that rascal like me, see the effect. Yes, it works. The process is perfect, what we got. Require little strong faith and act on it. So the great mantra for deliverance in all humanity, the method prescribed, Shabe Mana Krishna Padaravinda, one must engage one's mind fully in Krishna. Only then there remain no other engagement to agitate the mind. So I'll summarize with this on that verse in the purport. This is one of the verse. It's good to memorize every day because you are driving your body and mind and see where you are. So Atmanarvatina, the soul is the passenger in the chariot. Just imagine you are driving a car. No, you are not driving a car. You are in a car called body. So you are in the passenger seat and body is like the car or chariot and intelligence is the Sarathi, charioteer or driver. And pragraham, mana pragraham evacha means is that which controls the rein. Mind is the rein. You know horse cart, I'm sure you all saw it. The rein that That is the mind. And Indriyani Hayanahu, senses are like horses, five horses. And they all are looking at different direction. Vishayam teshu gocharan. Sense objects are the things towards which horses wants to run, senses wants to run. Atmendriya manojuktam, the soul equipped with mind and senses. Bhakti ahur manishina, those who has conquered the mind, those who are seers, the seers gives this metaphor. What is the metaphor? It is understood by great thinker like you all. What do they understand? What devotee understand? The Atmendriya Manojuktam, the soul equipped with the mind and senses, that Atma is Juktam, by mind and Indriya. Never you should ever think, just like a quote, I don't know if Prabhupada or Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur says, in front of a beautiful girl, a man should never think, I'm liberated. Doesn't matter how advanced he is. Never should think. Means we have to always be careful, alert, that oh, I will not fall down. No, this is illusion to think that I will not fall down. Chances are always there as long as we are in the material world. But if we hold on to the shelter, yes, you can cross it. You will not fall. That's the point. Never we should ever come to a point that now I think I'm free. This is illusion, dangerous. Even you are free, should not think that you are free. So soul, try to enjoy the senses. Of course, sometimes the soul gets enjoyment, but most of the time soul gets suffering. So here it is difficult to control the mind. The chariot body metaphor is given. We will see how chariot body metaphor is developed later on in Bhagavad Gita. And Sri Krishna actually will answer. You will see as it goes, that first emphasis with Arjuna, first he says, yes, answer, it is difficult to control the mind. Krishna agreed with Arjuna. Because I don't know, any one of you in the audience ever wonder, does Krishna experience what I'm going through? Or he knows what I'm going through? You know, you send a text to someone, I have a headache, I don't feel like to get up, I'm just sick, so okay, some other person, the recipient got the text, oh, that person is sick, cannot get up, like this. Does Krishna get the message like that? Or actually Krishna experience what headache I'm going through, whatever problem we're going through? Ask yourself and you'll find the answer. If not, I'll also share what I understood. When the disciple expresses the doubt, there has to be some sympathy. I cannot do it. Suppose somebody says, I get angry soon, because some actually young teenager boy told other day to Maharaj, so what are you chanting from 10 years and still you get angry? You are fallen soul. We cannot give response which hurts people. Ultimately, the response should be encouraging. Prabhus and mothers, be very careful. Do not ever say anything to discourage anybody. And there is an art we have to learn. Prabhupada said the highest realization of Krishna consciousness, understanding, will be when you present the philosophy in such a manner that they respond positively. And I was contemplating this. What do you mean? Prabhupada, like, yes, this is the art of a preacher, that you have to present such a way that the person get encouraged to continue and increase the devotion. Not felt like judgmental or sentimental or go away from bhakti path. That will be worse. So it is an art. Means we understand the recipient of my answer, his or her position. Sympathy means I am at higher level, I am showing sympathy, but empathy means I come down to your level. Anyone knows in the audience who did that? Our Supreme Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did it. He came down to a platform where Mayavadi Sarvabhauma was. I mean, Mayavadi, he was a teacher of Mayavadi. He was not just a Mayavadi, he was a teacher of Mayavadi. He used to train sannyasi. He was so genius. But Mahaprabhu came down to his level to learn from him. No, not to learn from him, to purify him. But he posed like he wants to learn. So this is the art. I'm not saying you have to do that. You have to be very expert and careful. Otherwise, you may get, just be careful. There is an art. So we have to be empathy, not sympathy only. This is very important. Now, time is also ticking. We are just only one verse, but this verse is so important. Prabhupada quote this verse, every Acharya quote this verse. You may, I remember somebody was mentioning even a few days back, how do you get the mind to go along with you? I said, I don't know. No, I see you're like some or other going. Well, how do you do it? I said, I don't know. But what I understood, I can share with you if that helps. Because we sometimes resolve to do certain things that are important for us. But our mind stubbornly, stubborn, the word, stubbornly refuses to go along. That is true. Anticipating our predicament. This verse warns. I always think these 4 words, as I mentioned in the beginning of the class, the 4 words Arjuna used, that the mind can be stubborn. When I get up in the morning, I know mind will be stubborn. I don't care. I'm just going to go take shower and sit down and chant. What can we do at such time? The next verse, Krishna will recommend. Practice. 2 things. 2 things we have to develop. Next verse, I did not go there, but I'm just giving you a hint. The next verse, Krishna gives the medicine that you force yourself to practice and develop a detachment. Now, other day I discussed about difference between attachment and affection. You should have an affection. We all should have an affection for everybody, especially the family, dependent children and everyone. But no attachment to their non-devotional, because you will suffer and you will also pull yourself down and you will pull also them down. There's an art, fine art. I see that. And it works, believe me. In the context of managing mind, practice can refer to trying out various approaches to see which one works for us. And detachment can refer to letting go of those approaches that don't work. Now, please remember, progression means 2 things. Selection, elimination. I like to chant with that devotee group and I feel really enlivened. I feel like very attentive. Then do that more. I like chanting like quiet in front of the deity or the altar or in front of Tulasi or somewhere. Do that. Take advantage. Selection and elimination. If you don't have these 2 forefront, progression is not there. This is necessary. Suppose we resolve to read Bhagavad Gita, but when we start reading, our mind object. I don't know if you ever experienced this. They are costly. If we push on, sometimes the mind comes down, but sometimes it does not. Some devotee told me that when he start reading, he gets tired and falls asleep. Easy. When he hear and he falls asleep. But if he doesn't hear, he doesn't fall asleep easily. It was very funny. If we really analytically study this, this is the verse. This is the Bhagavad Gita talking about. So if we push on, sometimes the mind comes down if we push, but sometimes it does not. Its inner noise prevents us from concentrating on what we are reading. Even if we somehow push on, we may find such reading neither illuminating nor nourishing. I don't know any one of you ever experienced that. I did. And it exhausts and frustrates. What should we do? We need to find some way ahead that is both likable for our mind and beneficial for us. That's why even, middle of the day, I may take nap for 10-15 minutes. It works like 1 hour early before your average time. If you try, because that moment reading for me, early morning reading, like sometimes like so memorable, so easy to grasp it. Even sleeping that 1 hour later during the day, it's better. So you have to adjust where you can focus more. Like Prabhupada with his life, he said he was dividing his 16 rounds into 4 parts, and it worked for him. 4 rounds, 4 rounds, 4 rounds, 4 rounds. That doesn't mean everybody has to follow the same. Prabhupada didn't say that. For me, I just go straight, finish the whole round, I'm free. Even if I am sick or not sick, I just do it. Some or other Krishna allows me to keep it up. And it works, not on my own, by Krishna's grace. So in the beginning of this chapter, 6.5, recommends that such inner ingenuity, when it urges us to elevate ourselves with our mind, not without our mind. What I'm trying to say, to get the mind to go along with you, please, Prabhus and mothers, find a way that is both likable for the mind and beneficial for you. That's why this verse is so important. If you go Bella base, you look at this verse like hundreds and hundreds of times Prabhupada quote this. This is one of the prime definition of mind. That's why I say, if you look at that verse, you see children are fickle. The first word Arjuna said, treat the mind like a child. Don't let the mind treat you like a child. Please remember this. If you don't treat the mind like a child, mind will treat you like a child. That also I had experience. For no reason, I was like suffering many decades back. I remember it was like, now I look at it, it's like, what a stupidity. Stupid I was. Maybe I'm still, but at least I'm alert that I don't want to go that route. So you have to treat the mind like a child, because children are fickle. If you tell a child to study, he may do so for a few minutes and maybe then wants to play. That also I saw. And if you push him to study, now sit down and study, he may start crying. That also I saw. But if we give into his protest, he will never study. Just go on playing. So if we start playing endlessly with him, then both our child and we will be doomed. I hope you agree with me. Now, I didn't see that, but I can see it. Our mind is restless like a child. That's why the first word Krishna used in this verse, today's verse, the chanchala, Himana Krishna. Mind likes one thing initially, then another thing, then yet another, and infinitum. We need to become mature like a parent and focus the mind on important things. Unfortunately, instead of we making our mind steady, we let our mind make us unsteady. Even if we try to steady the mind, it will still wander off and we become disheartened. So thereafter, we let ourselves wander with it. So what should we do? Unwittingly letting it control us. If you don't, I mean, if you allow, that is, we let it treat us like a child. And that's why this verse explains so nice that we are different from our mind. We should, first thing, you separate yourself. You know, somebody said, Indian guys, Indian businessmen, you know, they are like too, what's the word he used, like, they always bargain. So I was thinking, well, I'm not this body, so why? But I was affected. I'll never forget that. Why am I affected? I'm not this body, but why am I affected? I see that. I was like a disturbed for a few days. Every time I would see the other businessmen, he said, Indians are too bargainer. That's like, so then one friend told me, because when $1 value is asked for $2, we don't pay $2, we want $1. That's why we bargain. So I was using that logic and going back and forth. No, it is, you never can be satisfied with any answer. You do not have to allow your mind to control you. You have to control your mind. And then I said, it doesn't matter. He has a reason why he said this. And I spoke to that man after 2 years. And I said, possible. In Indian culture, they do this. And it never bothered me anymore after that. We have to think, we are soul. We can check mind's wandering. And to focus the mind, the best object is all attractive Supreme Krishna. Why? Because he is what our mind is actually looking for. And you'll see end of this chapter, in a few weeks will come, that Krishna will reveal that. Because he is what our mind is actually looking for when it wanders endlessly in its search for something attractive. Krishna is the source of everything attractive. And by understanding this philosophical truth, we grow up spiritually and gain the maturity to parent our mind. When we connect with Krishna, by chanting, by good sadhana, our mind becomes purified. Of its purification of what? Of its childish idea, of what is enjoyable, and increasing experience absorption in Krishna as supremely enjoyable. That is the mind grows up. So I'll end here. Oh, I still have a few minutes. Wonderful. And I think I'll just stuck with this one verse. So just remember, the mind does not know what it wants, but is ready to fight against the world to get it. Did you ever have an experience? You don't know what mind wants. Not really. If you separate from mind, if you learn the art how to separate, and you will see, oh my God, mind is busy to fight with anybody and anywhere to get the things. What he wants, he doesn't know, but he's fighting. It's like, that's what it is. The whole world is drawn into this. Unfortunately, by the mercy of Prabhupada and Krishna, Mahaprabhu, ISKCON, and assembled devotees, we are at least aware of it. Okay, with that note, I see Mother Gaurangi is here. Nice to see you also. Mother Bhashwati is there, Somen Prabhu is there, Mother Shivani is there, Dandakesh Mata, many. Oh, Gopijana Vallabha is there. Anybody could like to say what you're going to take away from this discussion today?
Takeaways or questions?
Okay, whatever.
Questions, my goodness. One is, you're talking about how difficult the mind is, and we have to exercise this, we have to like force ourselves and exhibit this determination, but how to drum up that determination, that and to force ourselves when we feel so embattled by the mind, so intimidated, actually, even by the mind. How to drum that up from within ourselves.
Well, in the beginning, we mentioned if you can acknowledge whenever you feel. If you look at the verse 634 that today we are discussing, Arjuna says chanchalam, then he says pramati, then he says balabhat, then he says dhriram. If you see these four symptoms, immediately you know it is not you. It is not the soul you. You have a three existence, mother. You have a physical existence, you have a subtle existence, you have a soul existence or spiritual existence. So when you think of the chanchalam, flickering, then you know it's not you, but it's subtle influence on you, subtle realm. And how far it will go? It can take you to doom yourself. So you can actually redirect, or you can ignore. It depends what it's showing, what you need to do. Because not necessarily every time we just ignore. Because like for an example, as I mentioned, we have a three existence. Like for an example, you have also physical existence like body. So say, I want to be serious, I don't care about sleep, and you just chanting and you doing service, you don't care of sleep. There was a temple president, yesterday somebody told me he was so like literary serving. I won't say the name, he's very nice devotee. Then he fell asleep while dressing Srimati Radharani. And it just fell like boom. Like, Radharani's hand was like this and caught him. Like, it was like a very mystical. So in our discussion, I mentioned to him, I said, we have to be aware that body has a need. Body has a four needs. Like a mind has a three needs, body has a four needs. Eating, sleeping, mating, different. If you don't provide body's need, the body will take the share. But when it takes share, it may actually hurt you. A good example I tell you, mother, a devotee was very serious. He said, I'm going to just control my sleep like 2 hours, 3 hours a day. Prabhupada did 3 hours. I said, but it's according to maturity, you cannot impose. But he said, no, I'm going to do it. Because I think I mentioned this before also. It's very interesting in my own life, it happened. So I had a feeling, I said, okay, maybe by Krishna's grace, he will uplift himself. Let's see. So he's very pakka, meaning fixed on time. He gets up at 1 o'clock, 1:30, chants till 4:30, goes to Mangalarti, and then one day I didn't see him Mangalarti. And I didn't see him when greetings the deity. I was thinking like, did he go somewhere? So I called him around noontime. He said, oh, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I said, what happened? He said, I just got so exhausted. I just wanted to take a nap for 5 minutes at 4 o'clock, 4:30 is Mangalarti. And then he found himself, woke up from the bed at 11. So why did I bring that example? That we have to be alert. That body needs, mind also needs. We have to feed them Krishna consciousness. That's how we'll purify. We cannot punish them unnecessary. It will not work. So if you discipline, if I discipline, okay, I'll go to sleep 5 hours, 6 hours, whatever each person require according to the body, then give that sleep. You plan. Then you will see the body will cooperate. I see my body cooperate. I mean, I don't know whether I'm maintaining well or not, but for many years, I see that body cooperates with my sadhana program because I try to discipline myself and it works. But if I don't, just wildly, I'll just do whatever, whenever, just like that Mataji told me that one time in the class that I tried to get up for Mangalarti, but I could not get up. I said, well, what time you go to sleep? He said, that's the problem. I wanted to ask you that. I went to the Facebook. I'm sure you heard this. I mentioned that. Just for 10 minutes. And I noticed that every day, 10 minutes become 2 hours. And it's the middle of the night. And then just like I get depressed and then next, I know I cannot get up from Mangalarti. So we have to be aware that there are 4 identity mind has from this verse, as I mentioned. When you see those, you have to give them a Krishna consciousness way, disciplining. Then possible you can come out of it. Mind also has a function, just like if body has a function, mind also has a function. Mind likes to dry argument. If you have a philosophical argument, it's healthy. Because honestly, each soul are born with a particular orientation. You will see some people are scholarly oriented. Some people are emotionally oriented, or at least certain part of their life they go through. Whatever it is, they need to adapt that part of Krishna consciousness in their life. That kind of devotee association. If I am emotional oriented, find a person who is also advanced and emotional oriented. And by their help of that devotee, I will advance very quick. That's how we learn how to get the mind to go along with us. Otherwise, if we become very strict to the mind will knock us down sometime if we are not strong enough. And this will be very dangerous. So we have to be aware that mind is restless, Prabhupada says, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, Dhiram. So 4 things we have to be, actually, if you focus on these 4 things, you will get scared. So, oh my gosh, I live with this person who is endowed with these 4, don't say bad word, say 4, I don't know, dangerous thing. Now I don't have a choice. So what can I do? Take shelter of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And you'll be surprised. You'll be chanting like almost like everywhere, anywhere, because of that fear. And eventually, you will be able to stay fixed, steady, and you'll come out of it. Of course, chanting, we cannot continue effective way, impactful way, unless philosophy or this understanding backing our chanting.
I don't know, Prabhu. You know, I've been chanting for many years, and I know others who also have been chanting for many years, and still they feel that the mind is so difficult.
Mm-hmm. But what about feeding the mind? What mind wants? Mind wants something. I want to accept, reject, accept, reject. Try to control this. I like the beautiful form. I don't like the impersonal aspect. I like the prasadam. I don't like unoffered food. You'll be surprised. Within you, you'll feel mystical feeling because mind is subdued at that time. I do this all the time. I mean, it's necessary. Mind
No,
is. If you look at the Vaishnava song, Mother, if you look at the Vaishnava songs, Bhaja Hure Mana Srinanda Nandana, there's a positive, negative, positive, negative, negative, positive, like this. Many songs like this.
Positive and negative. What are you saying? Positive, negative, positive, negative.
I don't want this. I want this. I want this. I don't want this. You cannot just say only one thing. The mind will not be captured, satisfied. This is what intelligence is. I want to chant. I don't want to waste my time. You have to immediately feed the other side also. Then mind stay like a under, like a handcuffed. He's still a criminal, but handcuffed in the back seat of the car. I saw police, they take the criminal. He is still a criminal, but he can't do anything.
So you're saying that, okay, in order to calm the mind down, even though to get it to go along with the things that you value, then you have to also, in measured amounts, give it what it wants also? Is that the idea? No.
Yeah, both. You want something for Krishna conscious value, also say I don't want non-Krishna conscious things. You have to think both.
Right. Okay.
Then mind will be subdued like a handcuffed criminal.
No, but the mind is protesting about those things that you don't want, that those anarthas. The mind is protesting you rejecting the anarthas.
Correct. But immediately you have to also say what do you want. If you do not give the other side, then mind will not be subdued.
Okay.
And this is a little practice. And you do it for a week and you tell me next week.
Okay.
It works, Mother, it works. Thank you. That's a very nice question. Mother Gopijana Vallabh, you have a raised hand.
Haribol Prabhu Dhammavat, all glory to the Vaishnavas. It sounds like from the class, our responsibility is to have a relentless pursuit of our spiritual life and our sadhana. So even using the word force, almost because our nature as conditioned jivas, at least mine, is very rajasic, to just continuously and relentless determination to just bring it under control no matter the circumstances, and to find the means that will allow me to maintain my sadhana. So it reminds me of that example you once gave long time ago, but I don't remember it perfectly. And that was about our mind, entrapping this tiger and arresting it in a cage, and then having to feed it and nourish it to maintain it, maintain the agitation, and to temper the agitation, but still to forcibly keep it in this cage so that I can progress. Is that a proper understanding?
Yes, if we do not arrest the mind, but the soul, you can imagine like infant future king is controlled by rebellious ministers. Each soul is wonderful, unique, such a beautiful, great position as a servant of Krishna. But our conditioning means that. So yes, mind here is like a rebellious minister. How to do it? You know how to do it? You cannot do it. As a soul, we are infant, minor. We are dictated by the ministers, like mind, false ego, all this. They are like dictating us what to do. What we can do, have a connection with the higher power and let them empower me, and under their guidance, I can tell the minister, sit down, you cannot do anything. This has to be forefront. Then they will stay captured. The mind will stay captured.
Thank you, Prabhu.
On our own, not possible. Doesn't matter how advanced I am. As always, we should have dependence, that I'm eternally dependent on Krishna. Dependence means we have to take the shelter. Dependent doesn't mean it's a good idea. No, we have to really take shelter. Shelter means we're chanting. We are honoring prasadam. We are offering our life to Krishna Guru, like that. This is what dependent. Dependence is not a word. It's actually like our lifestyle, depending on Krishna. Yeah, any moment I can die, but Krishna is there for me. I should not worry. This is called dependence. All the time depending. This is required. More we are strong, Maya is less power, mind is less power, Prabhupada says. Thank you. These are wonderful questions. Okay, what is the takeaway? One at least, and we can close. Mother Puja.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So how do we get the mind to move along with us or cooperate? There were 2 points. The first one was practice. So it's the practice of adjusting and finding the approach that works the best, finding a way that is likable for the mind and beneficial for us at the same time. And the second point was detachment. So although we need and we must be affectionate towards all and towards everyone, we shouldn't be attached to non-devotional characteristics. So that is letting go of those approaches that don't work in our progress or in our path.
Very nice.
And so to summarize that, you said progression is selection and elimination. So we must always keep that in mind. If we want to contemplate on whether we're progressing or not, we should ask ourselves, what am I selecting? What am I eliminating? What do I choose to select and what do I choose to eliminate?
Very good. Wow, you picked up a very good and nice point. Thank you.
Prabhu, I also have a question on something you said in the beginning, if I may.
I have 2 minutes. Go ahead quick, because I have another GVC college I have to attend.
Okay, Prabhu. You said
Okay.
one of the biggest blocks is our own resentment towards the Supreme who is sanctioning our desires. And then you said something about freedom. Could you repeat that part, the freedom part, please?
Freedom in that relation. Resentment, generally people know resentment is bad, but they don't see that how it is applicable in their day-to-day life. Like somebody says something at the workplace or home, or somebody didn't do the way they're supposed to behave or whatever, and immediately we react. This is actually resentment because somebody sanctioned it. Who sanctioned it? Krishna. Anything that happened, we have a choice. That Krishna sanctioned this, there must be something. Just like Vidura. Vidura, just imagine yourself. I thought many times. Vidura was giving a good suggestion to Dhritarashtra. Your children's, all these 100 sons are doing horrible things. You should get out of this mess. Come with me, we're going to go do some spiritual activity that will purify our existence. He said, oh no, I cannot go. Then instead of taking the suggestion, he's arguing. How you see my children are against? So well, don't you see? They refuse Krishna's proposition. All the proposal Krishna submitted, they refuse. They are against now devotee, against God. These are the symptoms. So he was giving a very nice. And then Duryodhan, he didn't notice that Duryodhan on the other side listening the whole conversation. And he became so angry. He came with all his 100 brothers in corner. He said, is there any one of you love me? Show me your love by taking this man outside and beat him to death. And Vidura folded hand. He said, thank you, Duryodhana. You don't have to throw me out. I'm going out. He was laughing and paying obeisances to Bhagavan, Krishna, and he was thankful to Duryodhana. So Duryodhana got bewildered. Hey, I want to beat you up, and why are you thanking me? He said, you are such a wonderful favoring me. So question comes, how did he see? He wanted to go away from this mess of war, but he didn't know how to give up the protection of he was protecting his brother and family like this. Now they want to throw him out. He saw, oh, the road became so easy. They throw me out. I wanted to go away. So it became easy. What does that mean? He said he saw Jogomaya, internal potency. Where is Jogomaya? Is a shadow. Is Mahamaya. Wherever you see the obstacle, there is also solution next to it. But we have to know the art, how to shift ourselves. So when he saw that somebody wanted to beat him out and throw him out, and he wanted to go out, he said, no, 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 you don't have to do anything. I'm going away. I will not disturb you anymore. And how did he see Jogomaya? Is that you wanted to serve. You want to go to spiritual place. And this desire coming from where? Soul proper. Not from physical, not from mind. It's soul proper to serve God. This is called spiritual. Spiritual conducted by internal potency. So he saw that Jogomaya already cleared his path. Then he was very happy all of a sudden. Can you imagine somebody wants to kill me and I'm happy? And so he revealed that. It was like it's difficult to see like that all the time, but we have to start practicing because we are in a danger zone. We should not take it lightly. This material world is a danger always. So that free choice is within us. We have to cultivate that, how to see it. First, you always detect where emotion and desire coming from and where it will take. That's how you detect. Jnana Vijnana Tipta. Thank you. That was a very nice question. Thank you, everyone, mothers and prabhus. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpataru vishrikipa sindhuvevacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Somen Prabhu ki jai. Nice to see you all. Hare Krishna.